First mechanic we have is disguise. From what I understand, disguise is basically like morph. You can cover a face down creature with this reminder card. A face down creature that was cloaked or cast with disguise has ward 2. Whenever that creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless the player plays 2. So this is morph. You know, you can just, I think morph was like what, typically like 3 mana or something like that, or you flip it over for 3, something along those lines. You may cast this card face down for 3 as a 2/2 creature with ward 2. Turn it face up anytime for its disguise cost. Okay. I like that. So you play it for 3 as a 2/2, and then later on you can actually get the value out of the card. And this has ward, so it's not an easy target. And I think cloak goes along those same lines. I don't know if I like disguise and cloak being so similar because they seem like the same thing to me, but I'll see if that becomes an issue. But yeah, we got disguise. Let's go on to cloak. To cloak a card, put it onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature with ward 2. Turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card. So it's pretty much like disguise. If you're instructed to cloak a card, put that card onto the battlefield face down. It's a 2/2 colorless creature with no name, no creature types. It has ward 2 but no other abilities. It has no mana cost. In fact, the resulting creature looks exactly like the face down creature you get if you cast a creature spell using disguise. Okay. So you got disguise, you got cloak. And I wonder how this really gonna play. Like this card in specific, I was just telling my friend about. This exposed to the culprit. It's a 2 mana instant. You can choose one or both. Turn target face down creature face up, which for 2 mana is like super powerful, right? Like if my disguise cost is 5 to flip this over, but I can flip it over for, I can play it for 3 and flip it over for 2. I just played it in installments, and I think that's really cool. And then the next part is exile any number of face up creatures you control with disguise in a face down pile. Shuffle that pile, then cloak them. To cloak a card, put onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature with ward 2. Turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card. And so in my opinion, like, exile any number of face up creatures you control with disguise in a face down pile. Shuffle the pile, then cloak them. This is like for 2 mana, you get to like protect your board or whatnot. So I really like that. I think disguise / cloak is cool. I just don't know if we needed both of them. They're the same thing, but I could be wrong. Tell me what you think in the comments. Next we have investigate. Old mechanic. Create a clue token. It's an artifact that has pay 2, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Okay. Simple enough. I think this disguise and cloak is going to be more of the interesting things. Let's see. Like more of the interesting mechanics so far, because you know investigate's just really simple. They didn't even barely talk about it. When you're told to investigate, you create a clue token. A clue token is a colorless artifact token with pay 2, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Not only are extra cards always welcome, but some cards in the set have abilities that reward you for sacrificing artifacts. Cool. Next we have suspect. A suspected creature has menace and can't block. I like the flavor of that a lot. I really like the flavor of that. It gives it menace, and I mean, I don't like the fact that they can't block, but it's flavorful because we don't really trust you. Like, so you're a menace. I don't know. It's like, what are we gonna do about this suspect here? I kind of like that. Then we have collect evidence. Collecting evidence is a cost that you may be asked to pay in a variety of contexts. It can be part of the activation cost of an ability or an additional cost of a spell. It can even be the cost imposed by a ward ability, like in the example below, X-Bane Fearfox or Ferox, 4 mana, Death Touch Haste. Ooh, 4 mana, 4/4 Death Touch Haste. That is something nice. Collect evidence 4. Whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player exiles cards with total mana value 4 or greater from their graveyard. So I'm guessing we're going to be seeing a lot of evidence or collect evidence, and we have to act in kind based off of what that is telling us to do. For sure. And last but not least, we have cases. Cases are like, what are they called? The ones that have chapters. New type of enchantment. I forget the type. Dang it. And they're not saying it. But essentially, it comes with abilities, and like every turn at your upkeep. Let's see if I can find the. Here it is. Individual cases have 3 abilities. The top ability is always active. Okay. The middle ability, preceded by to solve, sets out the conditions under which you can solve the case. Okay. At the beginning of your end step, if the case is unsolved, if you have met the conditions described in the middle ability, the case becomes solved. If you haven't, if the case is unsolved and you've met the condition described in the middle ability, the case becomes solved. Am I reading that right? At the beginning of your end step, if the case is unsolved, and if you've met the condition described in the middle ability. So you have to do both. Because it's not, so in the text it says if unsolved, solve at the beginning of your end step, but that's only if you've figured out how to do that. So I was misunderstanding that. Let me see. Kind of frustrating me. Sagas is what it's called. I was like, these remind me of sagas. But it's not necessarily a saga because it's not a progression of abilities. It's conditions of abilities. I like that. So for instance, in this case, when it ETBs, you investigate. Case of the Filch Falcon. To solve, you have to control 3 or more artifacts, and I guess this is static. It stays on the board the whole time, and when you finally get your 3 artifacts, you solve the case. Solved, you pay 3, sacrifice this case, put 4/1/1 counters on target non-creature artifact. It becomes a 0/0 bird creature with flying in addition to its other types. Okay, so that's what we have. We have our disguise, cloak, investigate, suspect, collect evidence, and cases. What is your favorite mechanic? What is your favorite mechanic? And so far, before I even get to really check the set, I think I don't know, I have to really see how these cases work, but so far I think it's going to be disguise, cloak. I think we're going to get a lot of good abilities through that mechanic, or those twin mechanics. So this is a tweak to something called Manifest, and I'm not familiar with Manifest. Maybe that's why I think these are so similar. But these are the most intriguing to me, Disguise and Cloak. So yeah,